Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will be building a real-time end-to-end data engineering pipeline that too completely in Snowflake. We're going to use Snowflake capabilities like Snowpipe, dynamic table, and alert for error notifications. Now, as you can see on my screen that you have a dedicated AWS S3 bucket. Suppose your client or your customer is putting some files and then with the help of Snowpipe, you are ingesting and you're building a raw layer or you can call it a stage layer. After that, you're building one the clean layer. In this, we are going to create some dynamic table based on these staging tables. We will be applying some sort of transformations, and then we are going to combine those two dynamic tables in a one customer item dynamic table to derive some, let's say, some metrics. And in case if this dynamic table get failed, then we should immediately send error notifications on the registered email so that user can identify that this happened, or like basically he can easily get notifications so that you can avoid escalations. So by the you watch this video till the end, and by the end of this video, you will be like perfectly ready to design a production ready data pipeline in Snowflake, which can you can explain in your interviews. So let's start with the business requirement. Now, a customer is uploading a customer and the item file in S3. You have to first create or configure Snowpipe. Now in this video, I'm not going to show you this Snowpipe part because we have already done it a couple of times in my real-time pipelines, as well as I have a dedicated video for this. So we will be assuming that we have the stage customer in the stage item ready. I will be manually inserting some data. And then in this stage customer stage item, we will be doing some sort of transformations. Those transformation will be like from the customer table, I would be only and only looking for the the data with the latest record based on the creation date. And in the item, I will be looking for the item with the highest price. So there can be some duplicates in both the tables, but in the customer, we need to take the customer latest record based on the creation date. However, in the item, we need an item which has the highest price. So for this, we will be creating a dynamic table which is going to incorporate all these transformations, and then we will be deriving, let's say, suppose per item cost. And then if it got failed, we will be setting up an error notification. So let's get started. As I said, I'm going to skip this ingestion part. So I'll come to here in my Snowflake. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to create my schema called pipeline, and you can name it anything. This is totally up to you guys. Okay. I'm going to provide you the scripts. However, you can create these tables accordingly, like as per your requirement. You can create one table, two table, five tables. Okay. Now, I'm missing all these steps by configuring storage integrations, external stays, file format, everything. But I'm sure you must be very confident in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to create a stage customer and then inserting few records. Now look at it. As I mentioned earlier, that we will be requiring only and only those record which is basically having a latest record. So based on the created record, C101, okay, basically this should also be the Raman. So based on it, we should need this line number 80. This should be our latest record in our dynamic table. Well, we will keep it. How we're going to do it? Let's see that. This is just the dummy data. However, if you want, then you can download some data from the Kaggle and then probably you can get started. I'm going to insert these four records into my stage customer. Then I'm going to have one item table. In the item, I'm going to declare the customer ID to get the relationship between these two. So in this item, when I'm inserting 5 records, so look at the 36 and 39. So here for this 36, this is item ID. Okay, again this here, it should be A101 and here we should have this ID. Now similarly for this 39th record, we should have this because the price is higher. So we're going to insert this into the item. Now there is 5 record. Okay. And I'll come here. Now, if you will look at this select star from item and all, you will be looking at the data. Okay. Now, if I come down, so first I'm going to create the dynamic table. This dynamic table, I'm sure you would be you would be having a good understanding of these parameters, that what is this target leg, the warehouse, initialize, and there is basically one is auto or like incremental refresh. So this initialize on create means that as soon as I'm going to create this table, it will be having this entire data. And the target leg downstream means that the dependent like means if I'm going to refer this dynamic table to another dynamic table, look at my this diagram. This customer dt is feeding the data into the customer IDT, same item dt. And if I'm keeping the target leg downstream, that means whenever this dynamic table is going to be refreshed, these two will automatically get refreshed. So let's come over here. I'm going to put the downstream and then I created this customer DT. Now, because I have keepten the initialize on create, so if I am going to write select star from customer DT, I should have a data inside that. Okay. And as expected, we were having only the latest data. So this is something like the row number and all, you guys can do that. Now, if I do not use the initialize on create for the item dynamic tables, and then I'm going to implement, I'm just going to take based on the price, I'm going to take the top record. Okay. Now the item DT has been created, but if you will look at it, select star from item DT, then this target like downstream, we do have the data. Okay, so basically here the initialize on create is by default. Now you have another property called, like if you guys remember in my previous video I have shown you that this is on create and on schedule. So if you're going to do this on schedule, then you won't be having the data into it. Okay, so this is totally up to you that if you want to do it or not, but by default it's gonna take on create. This you can make on schedule. Okay, I'm just going to comment it. Now, after this, once we do have both the tables, now I'm gonna create another dynamic table with the target leg of 1 minute. That means after every 1 minute, this dynamic table will be refreshed, and we have given a downstream here. That means this customer dynamic table will force these two dynamic table, will be forcefully refreshing these two dynamic tables. Okay, so first this customer dynamic table target leg we have given 1 minute. However, this is totally up to you. You can give like a 5 minute, 10 minute or anything. And I am doing only and only calculating price per item by dividing price per count. Because if you will look at it into the item value, here we do have the count and this 200. So probably if I need to find out the price of printer, then this is total 4. For that I paid 200. That means it will be 50. And this will be around 150. And this will be like 100. Don't go with the data. Obviously you might be thinking that okay, who is going to give you like printer in 50 rupees and all. This is just dummy data. Okay, so now only and only focus on the part like that, how we are implementing it. So for it, I will simply call and create this customer item dynamic table. Now, if I refresh it, I will be having few records into this, and you can see there I do have the price per item. I have used the round. You can use any other functions. You can probably like remove these per column. There's a like customer name, CRID, location. You may not be like not be requiring it. So that is totally up to you. Whatever you want to use it, you can do that. Otherwise, you can do the other concatenation, you can do other calculation also, like a case when condition, you can derive new other columns also. This is totally up to you. Okay, so far everything is working good. But what if that, because in this dynamic table, we are dividing price by count. What if this count is 0? So obviously that will fail. But before that, let me actually show you the dynamic table schema. So I'll come under the YouTube learning. Here in that, we do have the pipeline schema. Inside that pipeline, we have dynamic tables. And if you will look at this customer item DT, now this is going to be the graph of it. You can expand it. Okay, so this customer item DT is target like 1 minute. This is target like 1 minute because it's a downstream. And here, these are the two stays table. So these are the dependent on, like the customer DT is dependent on STG customer. As soon as we are adding any record, this will get refreshed. But this will only get refreshed once this customer ID DT will be refreshed. So refresh mode is incremental. You guys can see it everything over here. Same for this customer DT. Here, this refresh mode 1 minute downstream hits is coming. But here, this is completely 1 minute. Okay, so you have everything over here. You can just check it over here and all. Now let's go back to the dynamic table. Here, what I'm gonna do is by mistake, like by purposefully, I'm gonna insert few more records. So first I'm inserting into the stage customer these two records. Okay, now and then I am inserting into the item that too with the zero counts. Means what if that person has purchased something but then like refunded and we made an entry for that, so it is going to be a 0. Now if you will look at it in your dynamic table, so if I come here, if I look at the customer item DT and the refresh history, you will be seeing that this gonna fail because it is gonna take 1 minute. So let's just look into it. And we have already discussed about this like row change and all. So let's wait. In the next 1 minute, it should get failed. Okay, you see here, this got failed and the error code is 10051 and we know it with the error code is nothing but a division by 0. Okay, so what we can do, I mean, this get failed. There is some issue with the data, but I mean, no one is going to check it manually. So we want someone, like we want some process that we can immediately get notified as soon as it get failed. And this only can be done with the email indications, like with the alerts. I'm not going to use the SNS notifications, which we did during the Snowpipe and the task error notification. This time, I'm going to use the alerts. So for this, I'm going to create once notification integration. This is going to be dynamic failure alert. And here I'm applying this email address because I have used the same, I have created account based on this email address only. The command, you can say this, anything you can type it. This is going to be enabled true, type email and all, and then just create it. So your notification integration is created. Now, next you have to send the notifications, and for that you would be requiring to create an alert. And to create an alert, you will be requiring a warehouse the schedule, so that like, okay, how soon you want to trigger an email, and then there will be some conditions. The condition is nothing but if your dynamic table is getting failed. If your dynamic table is getting failed, only then we need to send a notifications. And that too, we are looking for the previous R history. However, it is totally up to you. You can set a 10-minute or 5-minute or what. So for it, let's understand that what I'm doing in this select clause. This is nothing but a dynamic table refresh table function, which is going to give me an idea about all the columns. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I am manually running it. Look at it, select start from information scheme table function, information schema. This is the name of the table function. Now I'm writing data timestamp is r minus 1. Okay, this is start and end is basically this. Now the name of the pipeline I'm giving is customer item dt because I'm particularly doing for it. However, you can remove this filter and the error only should be returned true. So if you run it, you will check it. There is 4 records. This is the state message, query ID, data timestamp, and all that. Okay, now for this, I'm going to drop a very simple email. However, I'm going to drop a very simple email. However, you guys can try to do some kind of a HTML, or you can just utilize these variables in the state message, so like to make it more meaningful. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write that alert that if we do have any data in this, then call system send email function, which is an inbuilt function. This will be the subject, this will be the address, and this is basically this dynamic table failure notifications. And here you can just basically we can simply put it in issue with the data, and the main error is this time I'm making it hard coded. However, we can probably look at some time to make it more automated. Main error is nothing but division by 0. Okay, so let me just create this alert too. Now, once we have created this alert, do not forget to resume it. Don't forget to resume it. So for this, we're gonna write alter alert, the alert name, and resume. I'm gonna look into it. Control. Okay. So this is to check dynamic table history. Now I have done the resume. Okay, so I will be just waiting for here because currently it is 319. I'm just waiting that once this is going to be 320, that means I got the email here. Okay, okay, let's wait, probably gonna take 1 minute. Okay. Okay, so by the time like we are receiving an email, I'm just repeating my all the steps. That first we created this table. You will be replacing with the Snowpipe, please, or replace with the Snowpipe to make it more realistic, and then add few more records into it. Create a dynamic table based on that, based on the staging tables, and after that combine those dynamic tables to make it one combined table. Okay, and then you are all ready. Now come to the email and you see here Snowflake Computing. I got a dynamic table failure notifications, and this is issue with some data main issue with some data, and the main error is nothing but a division by 0. Okay, and this is the same error. You will look into it. There will be like so much of failed history here. Now what you guys can do it to fix it, just simply remove the row or update that record. So here you guys can simply update the item. Set counts equal to probably let's say 5, where And this is we are doing only because we should not get the error. To stop this error, we can update the counts. Okay. So this is just, again, obviously you are not going to do it, but I'm just going to tell you how you can just stop this failure. Obviously this client, the customer will, you will be sending this error to the customer. We're going to make it more dynamic to have all the history. Like we can take the error message from this dynamic table refresh history and include in our error notifications. So that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed, and please try to replicate this exercise on your machine to gain more confidence. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.